Hey guys, first and foremost, thank you for 1,000 of you subscribing to our channel. As of this recording, April 5, 2017, we just crossed over 1,000 subscribers. That was our first big step, big short-term goal, and we want to thank all of you for that. Now, number two, many of you have probably heard of The Secret or the Law of Attraction, and I'm a practitioner of that. And I want to talk to you about that for just a couple of minutes today and share with you something that happened yesterday showing that this does work. And I'm doing this today because my wife's not here. You see my wife in some of our other videos. If you haven't, it's worth watching. She's a hoot. She's the most beautiful woman I've ever met in the world, and I've been around the world several times. But she doesn't want me to reveal too much about some of the ways in which I think, because she's afraid you guys are all going to think I'm crazy and you'll unsubscribe to our channel. But right now, she and our son and some friends of theirs are at Virginia Beach for spring break. So that means I'm left alone with the camera and I can make whatever videos I want. I stayed back. I didn't go to the beach because spring is coming on quick. And there's a lot of work around here that we have to get done, and I wanted to do it, get it done, and I've gotten most of it done. I still have a lot to go. I'm still putting seeds in pots to start indoors. We're doing okra, some things that will transfer outside later. I've added some new trees to the yard, but let's get straight to the point. The Secret, the Law of Attraction. For those of you who are not familiar with it, many of you are. If you've subscribed to this channel, you've probably come to us from one of our Facebook pages, and you already think this way or you wouldn't have been with us for this time. But basically, it's the concept that thoughts are very powerful, and you have to be very careful about the way you think, because when we think, we're actually sending energy out into the universe, and the universe is reading that energy, and the universe will give us what we're telling it that we want. Now that's confusing when I say the universe will give you what you tell it that you want, because you can't just sit here and think, I want $1 million, I want $1 million. The universe is going to give you $1 million. These are the energies that you send out based upon your true emotions, but a lot of times you're not actively controlling your thought, and this is where you've got to be careful. If you wake up, you're in a bad mood, you stub your toe getting out of bed in the morning, that makes your mood worse, and this is all you're focusing on, and your energy going out to the universe is bad, bad, bad. You're going to have a bad day. I mean, it's just how it works, okay? But if you can wake up, start your day positive, focus on positive things. I do it by thinking of things I'm grateful for. I'll wake up and every morning I'm grateful for my beautiful wife. I'm grateful for my beautiful healthy son. I'm grateful for the relationship we have. I told a friend the other night, not too long ago, I turned the radio on in our car. Me and my wife and our son were in the car. I turned on the radio and my son was shocked to find out that we had a radio in our car, because he didn't know. Because when we're together in the car, we don't turn on the radio. We talk. There's never been a song written, and there will never be a song written that to me is worth listening to more than talking to my family. That's how much I love my family. So anyway, these are the things I think of to start my day, and when I'm sending those positive vibes out there, I generally have a pretty good day. Now, we've been using this throughout the years, and it really changed our life. It allowed us to go from being down and out in Mindanao, the southernmost island of the Philippines, which is overridden by radical Islamic extremists, where we were in danger. There, the last year we were there was a constant threat of our son being kidnapped for ransom, which I didn't have the money to pay. It was a nightmare. We worked very diligently. We'd been working very hard for very long, and we were using The Secret to get out of there, and amazing things happened. And we got to leave Mindanao. We got to come to the U.S. My wife legally on a fiancé visa. We're now married. She gets to stay. My son's a U.S. citizen, so he never had an issue because he was born in the Philippines, but to a U.S. citizen father. And when we tell the whole story, and I might sometime on his channel, it sounds completely unbelievable. We were able to come back, them come here for the first time, and we bought a 6-acre farm for almost $300,000 in a beautiful part of the country to live. And 3 years ago from right now, we were living off of whatever we could dig up out of the ground and in the jungle and eating borrowed rice rice that we bought on credit. I've shared this in other videos. Now, let's fast forward to today. As you know, if you've watched some of our other videos, we're big time into horticulture. This week, one of the things I've been doing is I've also been getting cuttings from our apple trees, a weeping willow tree. I've got some fruit-bearing pear trees down there that I may get some cuttings from too. We're starting a tree farm. It's just a crazy idea we got, and sometimes our crazy ideas work. So we're doing this. But one of the things we needed were a very big, near endless supply of potting pots, planting pots, because at some point we're going to have to transfer these trees into pots, and for certain times of the year. And we looked and looked and we looked, and we found some on Craigslist. Some guy had like a big old pile of them, several hundred, and he wanted $50 for them. You had to come get them, and he was only available one day out of the week, and it was very inconvenient. So I told my wife, honey, don't worry. Just tell the universe we are going to come into planting pots, okay? And this story is just one of many examples of how we've used this method. And it's not, we're not bashing religion. This has nothing to do with religion, and we're not saying that if you are a Christian or a Buddhist or a Muslim or Hindu or a Jew that you can't use this. This has nothing to do with that, okay? So bear with me and keep an open mind. So I was in town the other day. I mentioned in another video I'm a writer by trade. Sometimes things are really, really good in writing. The revenues are coming in that are just, I've had months where I've made more in 1 month than I made my first year out of college, or even my second or third year out of college. I didn't make as much money that year as I've made in single months as a writer. However, sometimes things aren't so good, and things will go for a prolonged period of time of not being so good. During these times, we don't lose faith, but we do what we got to do to eat, to keep our home, to pay what few bills we have. And sometimes that involves me getting a job. I've temped at times when I've needed to, then I've stopped temping when I didn't need to any longer, and I've kept good relationships with the people I temp for in case I ever needed to go back, and just because I believe that's how you should do it anyway. Recently, I've taken a full-time job as a courier's assistant in town. So I go in town quite a bit to assist as a courier, and I don't want to be too specific, but I deliver things. So for the last week or so, I've been kind of sending the energy out there, I'm going to come across some planting pots. And I was thinking, now the thing is, you don't tell the universe how to make it happen. You just send it out there. This is what I want to have happen. But however it happens, it's up to you. But I started noticing as I'm going through the neighborhoods in town, a lot of people were out gardening. There were landscapers in the subdivisions, and especially in the townhouse units and the condominium places, the apartment complexes, doing some wide-scale gardening. So the last couple of days, I'm thinking, maybe one of these gardeners or landscape artists, maybe that's where I can get a lot of these pots. So I'm thinking of this as I'm walking down the street. I've got a package in my hand, and I hear something tumbling down the road. It's been windy here the last couple of days. You've probably seen the video going like this. That's because the wind's blowing the ladder that I've got my camera set on. So I hear something tumbling down the street. Tumble, tumble, bumps right into my foot. Well, it was one of these. And I was like, wow, look at that. Planting pot. Thanks, universe, being a bit melodramatic there. But I look up, and here's this whole pile of gardening pots. Bunch of mulch, bagged mulch. But there was nobody there. So I did a loop, and I had to come back around later that day, and I ended up meeting this wonderful man and this wonderful woman, about my age, 40-ish, who were doing the landscaping. I told them what my wife and I do, and I said, I noticed you have some of these pots. I don't know if you throw them away or if you reuse them, but if you just throw them away, we will take as many of them as you can give us. The woman smiled, and she said, great. She said, here, take these, and she handed me these. I counted them. There was 30. And she told me that her workers who were helping her that day had just hauled like hundreds of them off to give to the recyclers. They're very responsible. They don't throw these in the trash. It's plastic. They actually give them to the recycling people. And but she told me, she said, I can get you literally hundreds of these a week, and most of them are bigger than this. They're the kind that you would use for trees. And I said, that's great, because that's our focus, trees. And I said, so how do you want me to get these? Would you like me to come to wherever your business is and pick them up once a week or something like that? But she asked me where I lived. I told her. Okay, now guys, this is where this story, I mean, it'll send chills down your spine, and that's why I'm telling it, that because my wife's at the beach and she's not here to stop me because she's afraid you'll think I'm crazy and you'll unsubscribe. So I tell her where I live. Okay, we live in a big county. Our county's almost as big as the island of Mindanao, where we live in the southern Philippines, and it's in Virginia. It's one of the biggest counties in Virginia, and there's over 80,000 people in our county, right? So turns out I tell this lady where I live. She grew up on a farm a mile and a half down the road from me, where her brother still lives and where her sister-in-law, who works for her, still lives. And her sister-in-law drives by my house every day, twice a day, once to go into town to go to work and once on her way home to go home. And this lady told me once a week or so she will just pack up all these planting pots that she has in her sister-in-law's truck and have her just swing by and drop them off on her way home. So we found all of our planting pots. They're close, they're being delivered to us, and they're free. Now, if this isn't an example of how the law of attraction, also known as the secret, works in your life, if you believe in the system, well, you know what, even if you don't believe in it, I believe it's working in your life anyway, and that's why you've got to be very careful about what you think. If you're constantly sending the message out there, I can't, oh, I'll never, guess what? You're right. Because whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, either way, you're right. Don't bring that negativity in your life. Don't dump that stuff on yourself. If you have a goal, if there's something you want to do, you've got to work hard. You've got to work diligently. When I was in Mindanao, I was working 15 hours a day as a writer, writing up to 10,000 words a day. That's approximately 40 pages in a book. I was reading 10 to 15 novels a month, because anybody who tells you a writer, ask them what they're reading or how frequently they read. And if they say, well, I don't have time to read, I can guarantee you they're not a very good writer. So I was reading 10 to 15 books a month, 180, 200 plus books a year, plus writing 10,000 words a day, plus telling the universe, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. My family and I will get to the U.S. My family and I will go back to Virginia, a place I lived before, the place that I truly love. It happened. And just recently, on a smaller scale, I told the universe, we're going to get an endless supply of planting pots for free in a convenient fashion. The universe said, well, okay, I mean, this is what you're telling me you want. Here, you've got a lady a mile and a half up the road who's going to bring them to your house. You might consider me crazy. If you do, comment in the comments, I think you're crazy. If you don't, if you practice the secret, if you believe it works, that you've seen in your own life, leave us a comment about that. Now, I'll stop there. My wife's on her way home. I don't want them pulling up the driveway and coming over here and throwing the camera down. Don't show people your crazy side. But if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more videos from Homesteading Off the Grid. Bye-bye.